That's the high I think we all search for as artists. It's like when you get it and you're just like, yes.
We are in New York City today, and I think that this might be my favorite video that's ever gone out on the channel, and I am very happy that you're here to watch it.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Erick Hercules. I'm actually Erick Hercules. They know me in the photography world as Erick Hercules. I used to do commercial photography full-time for footwear and fashion and tech clients, but lately I've been pursuing more fine art with levitation photography and angle studies. When I was 18, my best friend and I came up with a t-shirt brand company, and we had to shoot the product photography. And I bought myself like this super cheap camera. It was a Nikon D80. And I picked it up and I shot it, and I remember spending like 5 hours on Lightroom like trying to fix this one photo, and it was awesome, and I really fell in love with it, and I started like shooting. At that time Instagram wasn't that popular, I guess, for photographers, and then met a couple of very amateur photographers there as well, and we started taking the streets over and just like doing puddlegrams at that time, and just discovering ourselves through photography, and I really found a passion for it. And I guess I was very lucky because I started doing this people jumping in the street series, and this one brand picked me up and they invited me to shoot. They sent me like 20 pairs of shoes, and they're like, hey, do whatever you want with them. And I levitated all of them, and I think that's where like my journey really began. And from then I've been doing commercial photography for the last 10 years, and lately I realized I think I've had enough of that, and I want to pursue something a little bit more meaningful and more for myself. And so that's where angle studies came in, and that's why we're here today. Looking at angles, looking at buildings, looking at shapes, looking at the philosophy of why certain angles work, and can't wait to dive into that a little bit more today. So what I recommend when you look at angles, or when you look at city in general, is sometimes you like wake up, you get out of your house, and you just walk by whatever buildings you've been walking by for the last 2, 3, 4, 10 years, and you don't really start to think like, why did someone choose that color window? Or like, why did someone choose like those, that form and shape? And so when you look at everything objectively, I think you tend to surprise yourself with the things you find that were in your face the whole time that you just never really kind of took in before, Oh, hold on a second. Whoa, come look at this. I don't know if you can see those reflections of those buildings behind these buildings, but that is just such a matrix. Jesus. Find some more iconic buildings. I love putting iconic buildings in the middle of like shapes, in the middle of like reflections and lines. So I think we might be approaching some iconic buildings soon. Here's something I've done before. Oh, it's a little dark, I think. I'm a little disappointed that today we just have cloud. We don't have any clouds. It's going to be a pretty white sky. So if you ever have just a white sky, don't shoot at the sky. Just shoot at everything right below. We're approaching the Chrysler building. There's a lot of buildings around the Chrysler building that you're able to use to frame it in very interesting ways. So we're going to go through a couple of blocks that I think you guys might like. Oh, here we have her. The beautiful Chrysler building. Yeah, my only brother's 16 millimeters, so we're gonna have to play with things around it to frame it. Now that I'm looking at it, however, let's walk 2 or 3 more blocks that way, and then get a nicer frame from her, and figure out some angles through that. Oh. So let's say you're trying to take a picture of the Chrysler building, but as I said, you have a 16 millimeter, so it's super wide, and you're like, damn, if you want to add more artistry to it, or just like creativity to it, you can always look into things that reflect, and then use that to kind of compose the main subject, which would be the Chrysler building with the reflections and stuff around us. Sometimes when you look at an image, you forget what makes it special, and I kind of, coming from the commercial perspective, my whole role was to sell a product. And the way that commercial photography is done is it needs to be perfect. Every single walk, every single hair, every single hand gesture, every single movement and shadow and line, and why is that in the background? Does it make sense to the image? Is it taken away from the subject? Is it adding to the subject? I guess doing that for like the last 10 years, I've kind of like realized, okay, this is how to frame a subject, right? But then it got too boring because in commercial, you can't really do more artistic aspect, like flipping angles or like flipping the city, people are gonna be like, what is that? You know, it makes no sense. Like, here I am trying to sell you a shoe, and like, oh, you really cares about the shoe. And so bringing it to fine art, I've realized that the philosophy of just like creating a good image should be that feeling that you get, the feeling of like, what does this even mean? Like, how does it make you feel? And so by, I don't know, adding these shapes and the angles and the contrast and the reflections, it adds so much more of a dynamic storytelling to what you want to represent. We're gonna go around that way to 42nd Street, and we're gonna go to Two Door City. One of the most famous views down where you get to see like Grand Central, and like just, that's where a lot of people see, I forgot what this is called, but it's like when the sun sets directly across the city and you're able to see the sun in the middle of these like Manhattan streets.
Like Henge in Chicago?
Yes.
I think that's what it's called, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Manhattan.
It's called Manhattan Henge in here too. Yeah. Thank you.
Chicago was discovered first, and then someone was like, "Wait, New York is that too?" Oh, New York
Is that the thing now? Like, let's go to every city and just find a henge there. I was born in Ecuador. I came here when I was 8, and we were supposed to be here only for like 2-3 years, and then I guess my mom she like signed me up to a bunch of choruses, sang in a New York City chorus, and eventually started to do it professionally when I was like 11 or 12, and I've been doing it ever since. You know, when you talk to photographers and you're like who inspires you or something, everybody mentions like Urban Penn or whatever. I mean, they're amazing and I love them as well. But when I look for inspiration, I really look for it in music. To me, I think the mathematics in music and the way that it's composed, and when you go to music school, you're able to learn like why certain things work, like why are certain things, minor scales make you feel sad, or like why is this a blue song, and other one's a bright and vibrant song, what makes it happen? So if you're able to use all those things in music and translate them into photography, it's a seamless transition, really. And that's why I think art is so dynamic, but at the same time, they all carry the same motifs. The trees, man. It's not, the dead trees are whack. Oh God, it's usually nice when it's like vibrant greenish or orangey trees in the fall. And somebody was kind enough to put this in the middle, so.
Just so you know exactly where.
Just so you know what I'm saying. In fact, I kind of disagree, right? This should be the middle. Okay, this should be the middle. Yeah. So this is Two Door City. If you haven't been here, 42nd and what is it, like 8th Ave or something? Come out, it's beautiful. Come in the fall though. There's like no trees and no greenery. It's unfortunate. Let's see if we can take some images. One cool thing that you can do with lines is have them come in from like a specific corner of the photo. I find that like just super interesting, and it kind of creates more of a push of the story into wherever it is you want to take it. My goal with this diamond in this photo would be to put it exactly in the middle between these two lines here, and hopefully have it make sense in that frame. I mean, it might suck, but it might work. We'll see.
I feel like that's art though.
Yeah, everything is,
Be prepared to fail?
And if not, just try again. Before you take any levitation image, just try to grab the frame that you like first. So for example, I already found my frame. And with that said, now I can levitate something. Oops. Yeah?
Get it?
I mean...
It's like you've done this before. Damn.
But you know what?
Single frame, one frame.
I don't like it though. Let's do a couple more. You want to get it, as close as you can to perfect, I guess. Damn. I might not be able to do it in there. It's just too cold. All right, that's a good one. Okay, I think that could be workable. Just keep walking. It's so freezing, man. Oh my god. Sometimes you have to try like so many different angles for you to figure it out, man. So I kind of like these shapes, and I didn't know how to really tell the right story here, but I flipped it enough, and all of a sudden there's a shape that I think you can really like read off, Like, see, it makes no sense that way, but then if you were to flip it around, you're able to see like this triangle from this way, and so that will be my main frame. Sometimes I think we as creators generally have a sense of, I know there's something there. And I think your goal is to kind of find the way that maximizes that storytelling the way you want to tell it there. You know, so sometimes like I go in there with a particular frame and then I realize that if I flip it up a little bit more, or like, you know, flip it to the right instead of to the left, I get something much more dynamic. So that's the Chrysler right above us, and then we just have like, this is I think it's a steak restaurant, but the lines are just so beautiful. Oh man, there's just angles for days. Let's come out a little bit more. So much fun. There are triangles everywhere. Everywhere.
You get really excited when you see something that you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the high I think we all search for as artists. It's like when you get it and you're just like, yes. You know what I realized is, once again, the question of human habits, right? Like you do something enough and you're just like, this is the way it's done and it's right and everything. But you barely forget to question the reality that you're really living in. So if you were to flip the angles or just like flip your reality, now you're seeing life for what it really is, which is an infinite amount of possibilities. And I think that's what I want to kind of convey with my work, or just convey with the angle studies. It's like, dude, you know, that angle as you see it, it looks whatever, it means nothing. It's just a building that's been there forever. But how about if you switch the angle? You'd be surprised to see what you find. My theory is, if I were to flip a certain angle of something meaningless and make it meaningful, then that angle has to have a value because it makes you feel a certain way. What is the most maximized way that that angle can make you feel the most? That's what I'm trying to search for. But then I got super bored like 3 years into levitation and realized I kind of like sold myself as that guy that did levitation, and I don't want to do that for the next 50 years and be like, you're that guy that does this one thing, and realize that there's so many possibilities to your artistry. I kind of left everything and everyone for like 4 months, dude. So was it scary? Hell yeah. But I think it was a must do, because when you're not following your passion, which is for me is just being the free artist that I am, you tend to feel like you're not living according to the way that you should be living. Like there's something else pulling you towards something, towards a different future, and you're just kind of stopping by because you're like, I think I found my niche. And if that doesn't make you happy, then what is, you know? And I think the definition of that is, you don't know what is, go out and find out. I've always been doing angle studies since ever, but I never really took them seriously because I was like, yeah. But then I started thinking, like, what makes photos special? It's like the way they make you feel. Well, why do they make you feel a certain way? Like, why does that angle make you feel a certain way? Like, why does a person walking a certain way make you, like, you know, when you look through photos and you're like, that's the one. Why is that the one? Think about the philosophy of why that's the one. And I think that, you know, that will help you find the answer as to what to pursue. It's so hard to frame here. There's like so many things. Not every angle is a winner, you know? Everybody would be like, I like your Dutch angle, but like, that wasn't sufficient enough for me. It's like, okay, that you know, that angle could be a Dutch angle, but so can that one. But like, what is the difference between them two, and why is one angle more powerful than the other? And like, I guess my angle study is legitimately a study. It's not like me trying to like do something different or whatever. It's like legitimately a study to figure out like what makes a photo powerful over another, you know, like what makes that angle feel like, oh, that's it, over another one that is just like, it's not there yet. So I think there's a balance between structures in terms of the way that you see things from a creative, especially from a photographer perspective, that can really, you know, dramatically change how you communicate your vision. So that's what I'm searching with angle studies. It's like, what is the balance looking like? Why does this structure work with this? Why is this the main subject over that one? You know, why do we need to have a main subject and 2 background subjects or 3 background subjects, you know, how can I take a photo of this car in the most profound way so that I can take advantage of everything around it and make that be the best photo I can? You know, all these questions, like when I was getting into this, like I really couldn't sleep at night trying to figure these things. And so I realized if I were to like dive deep, this angle study hopefully is my personal answer, you know, to those things. You know, take the context out and look at the photo itself. Does it make you feel something? You know, and I think that's where the answer lies. You know, that's what art really is about. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you so much for having me, bro. Love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.